Hi, welcome to So You Think You're Awake, the show about transformation through dream interpretation. I'm Michael Sheridan. I said this last week and I'm going to repeat it. We are all born with the potential to be magnificent at something, but just like the hero in a movie, we have to overcome obstacles before we can realize our potential and become the hero that we really are. On this show, through analyzing your dreams, I reveal your potential and the obstacles you need to overcome. I'm very specific. I tell you the magic power you have, what makes you magnificent, and the bumps in life that are holding you back. These bumps are the obstacles I mentioned earlier. They are not in the way, they are the way. The secret to the meaning of life, your life, is hidden right before your eyes, so close to you that you think it is blocking you from your quest, when all the time it is the quest. In a moment, I'm going to interpret some dreams. If you want to get in on the action, go to dream-analysis.com/kknw. Fill in the form and submit your dream to the show. That's it. That's all you have to do. For some, I will ask if you want to come on the air to have your dream analysed in real time. You get a bonus private session with me if you do. If you're interested in that, the steps are the same. Go to dream-analysis.com/kknw, fill in the form and submit your dream to the show. I also have a free dream symbol dictionary if you want to try interpreting your own dreams. You can get that at the same link, which I will repeat at the end of the show. Now let's have a look at some dreams. The first one is entitled Skylight and it's from Jane. She writes, I was sitting in the sun reading a book on the lawn outside the library. A Chinese woman I had never met approached and began speaking to me in a voice so soft I couldn't understand her. I asked her 3 times to speak up. She pointed to a house and expressed concern that her neighbours were installing a skylight. A truck with a crane was holding a large plate of glass ready to fit it onto the roof of the house. I reassured the woman that if the skylight was properly fitted and sealed, there was nothing to worry about and lots of people enjoyed skylights. As I left the library to go home, I crossed in front of a moving truck. The driver honked the horn and I jumped out of the way. As I turned the key in the front door of my house, I heard him yell, "Thank you." Well, okay, so the interpretation. Let's look at some of the symbols before putting it all together. But it's about the dreamer's spiritual nature. The sun says that Jane has a hands-on healing ability. The library says she's a counsellor. And this is also backed up by the book that is in her hand. So this is a skill she already has. Being on the lawn asks her to open her heart to access these abilities. And being outside says to do this in service to others. The roof is your spiritual aspect, but we already know that. It's your higher vibration, the highest aspect in the dream. The skylight or the largest plate of glass are both about your intuition. Truck is about career, which is why I said this is something you're meant to do in service to other people. And the crane is about spiritual development. It's used to build something that's tall. So putting it all together, you are a counselor with access to information about a person's life through your strong intuition. Both of these gifts work through female energy, so you are encouraged to open your heart to access them. You are in the light because you're in the sun in the dream, and you can particularly help put people at ease when they are developing their spiritual gifts, reassuring them primarily with your counseling skill, but also calming them with your healing energy. You specifically point out that when it is done right, there will be nothing to worry about. But you're everything in the dream, so you're also the crane that is helping install the skylight. So your skill is helping people develop their spiritual gifts. Like the roof is about spiritual nature. So you're helping install something on the roof because you're everything in the dream. So that's what it's about. Now, the part that seems like out of left field is when you say you left the library to go home. I crossed in front of a moving truck and the driver honked. So again, you're everything in the dream. So you help people do things right. You get them moving. And where we see the driver honking the horn, this is a classic in dreams. This asks you to wake up. So it's saying, look, this is your path. This is what you need to do, what I just described to you. And as you put the key in the front door, so it's like when the key's in your hand and you go to create this opportunity to be who you are, your guides are going to shout a huge thank you. Now, I asked the dreamer if she could hear her guides already and also if she had committed to advancing her spiritual gifts. And her response is this. She says, lately I've been thinking more about spiritual matters, watching tarot readers on YouTube and making a more consistent effort with meditation. Well, that's really good. She also says, in the past, on very rare occasions, I've heard a very loud male voice with a message. The last time was a year ago when a friend died. So you know that that voice is connected to the spirit world. She says, recently I've had several dreams in which I struggle to hear and understand the words of somebody, both male and female, who is speaking to me. I can't make out the words, so I don't know what the message is. I have also been surprised at the songs that seem to be dropped into my consciousness, especially in the morning when I'm not expecting it. So clairaudience, which is what you have, and which is why I asked if you could hear your guides, um, is where quite often in the beginning it'll come as hearing songs or a line of a song, not the whole song, just the line of a song, maybe even half a line. And then as soon as you acknowledge, hey, this is probably a message, then the line will change and it'll continue on till the whole message is spelled out for you or sung out to you, really. It's really good. And it's always interesting. People will say, I had this song in my head and I couldn't get rid of it. Well, that's how you get rid of it. Start paying attention to it and look for the next piece. And Jane also says, I join other listeners in welcoming you back on the air. Well, thank you very much, Jane. And next we have a caller. We have Adrian on the line. Hi, Adrian. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
Great. Thanks for calling in. I've got your dream here. I'm going to read out the dream first. It says, my husband and I flew to a very green, lush island that was used as an animal refuge. A man who took care of elephants was talking to me. He told me that the animal caregivers were specifically bred on the island in order to take care of the animals. His job from birth was to be connected to the elephants. When he saw us come in on a helicopter, we looked just like him, but he was not free to choose his life like us. He wanted to fly out with us, but then who would take care of the elephants? So I wrote to you and I asked you specifically, what caregiver role had you taken on? And do you want to share with us what it is?
Well, I feel like it was connected to taking care of my mother with memory care issues. I feel a deep responsibility for her. When I was about 10 years old, my parents divorced, and I was pretty much the only one left, and I took care of very basic things, tying her shoes, going shopping, as just little things like that. And as the years have gone by, I'm much older, and she actually fell into severe memory care issues, and I feel very connected, even though I'm far away. I'm an hour and a half from her, but I drive down every week to sit with her. And so I don't know if it had to do with that.
It does, of course. Yeah. And so when you look at this dream, the person, the guy in the dream is saying, who's going to look after the elephant if I leave the island? First of all, let me tell you what some of the symbols mean. The island is about the heart. The helicopter is also about the heart. That's the sound of a helicopter is actually how a child in the womb hears the mother's heartbeat. And the lush green is also the color of the heart chakra. So we have several symbols here that are all about your heart. But we have somebody trapped on the island. So this is like you're trapped into this caregiver role. Now you're everything in the dream, like I say all the time. So even though it's somebody else, the dream gives it, shows it as somebody else. But even then, when it shows it as somebody else, you say, we looked just like him. So even in the dream, you have the recognition, oh, this is really me. And he is not free to choose like you are. That's the core sentence in the dream. So the dream is saying, look, you do have a choice, but you feel trapped. You feel like that since birth, because this guy or people on the island were bred to be caregivers. And so this is basically saying that you feel that since birth or since a very early age, that this is your duty. This is something that you owe your mom. And of course, that isn't true. And the fact that many people don't do this for their parents is evidence of it. But I'm not saying that this is something you need to just instantly change. But what you have to overcome is this feeling of being trapped, and that this is the role you have.
The obligation.
Yeah. And so what else did I want to say is the elephant. Now, you said your mom has memory care issues. And so kind of interesting then to pick an elephant, because an elephant, the whole thing is about it is it never forgets, or that's one of the things we think of. But the other thing is that an elephant represents that the dreamer is very sensitive, but that they don't always display this to other people. So would you say that you're a very sensitive person?
Yeah, yeah.
And
And yes, I don't always display it. I'm somewhat stoic on the outside, I think.
okay,
With a lot
okay.
of
So
things.
so people aren't aware of how sensitive you are. And the other thing is that you would you don't want your mom to think that you forgot about her, and so
Right.
that really gets to you, the idea that you
Hmm.
would think that you forgot about her. And
Right.
so what else have I got? Yeah, so basically, what you need to work on is clearing the issues that cause you to close off. So your heart is the big thing in the
Right.
dream. Your heart being like the lush green, the helicopter, and the island itself. So, that all indicates that you keep yourself at a distance from other people, and you do that. You've already said by putting on this display of being stoic and things don't hurt me when they really do.
And I do, yeah. And I do, it's true. I get close to people and then I break off for quite a while and
Yeah.
then I
And do you
come
know
back again.
do you know why you do that? Ch- I'm going to tell you, you're
Yeah.
not going to know why you do that. You just do it all your
No.
life. So what you need to do is work on yourself, using something that is going to allow you figure out what that is and clear it. And then you can still look
Right.
after your mom. You can still be there for your mom, but you won't have this tremendous sense of pressure on you that you need to do this. So, like if you said
Right.
when you wrote that you were on vacation and you were afraid that your siblings wouldn't call in on her, and that's going to ruin
Yeah.
your vacation, having that concern. So
In the back of my mind. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So this gets you all the time. But really, so something happened. This is always the case. Something happened early in life that was traumatic to the point that you decided that you need to build this wall around your heart to keep people at a distance.
Mhm.
So something
Yeah.
caused you to feel hurt, to feel pain. And the biggest solution as a child is, if I put this wall around myself to protect me and keep people at a distance, then I won't get hurt again. And as a child, that works. It's
Yeah.
the only way you have to deal with it. So there's nothing wrong with doing it as a child. But now that you're older, you do need to clear it. You need to,
Yeah.
because you no longer have the issue that caused it present in your life. But yet
Right.
you're still living your life as if that is a permanent presence. So it is something you need to clear.
Yes.
That's something I can help you with, and that's something we can talk about off air. I said anybody who calls in, I will give them a free consultation. So if that's
Okay.
something you're interested in doing, we will talk about it. But it's very clear.
Yeah.
I can show you
Yeah.
I can give you directions on how to do it, and you can do it yourself, or I can help you doing it to do it. But it is
Okay.
something that's very
Yeah,
easy to
that
do.
sounds
And you've got this. I'm not going to give you away your age, but you have this for a long time.
Yeah.
It takes about 6 to 8 weeks to clear, which sounds
Okay.
absolutely incredible, but that's what I do for a living. I help people clear the issues that they have in childhood, and everybody gets to clear their issues. It's not a problem because
Yeah.
the obstacles are the way for growth. So when you
Right.
work past this, what you're going to do with that wall gone is you're going to be able to express yourself much more easily and comfortably. And it just lets people get closer to you. So it improves a lot of things in your life. Improves
Yeah.
relationships, it improves just your sense of joy and wonder. That's the biggest thing I suppose people get, the sense of joy and
Yeah.
happiness being on the planet. But
Yeah.
thanks for calling in.
I would love that. Thank you.
You're brave.
Yeah. Yeah. A
So,
little bit nervous at first.
but I
As long as I
appreciate it.
don't
And
have
I
a
understand
baby
that. I understand that. And in fact, our next caller, Jackie, if you're listening, get on the line. She's already texted to say that her stomach is in knots and she can't call. But I'm going to do your dreams anyway. So while I'm doing your dreams, you can feel free to call in or not call in. We'll get enough out of it anyway. So the first dream from Jackie is called Plane Crash. She says, Boeing was doing a big project or creating a new aircraft, and part of what they had to do was haul the parts to the Renton plant using a jet to tow them up in the sky. I know this doesn't make sense, but that's my crazy dream. The first time they attempted it, something went wrong, but I don't remember what. The second time, I happened to be camping on the banks of Lake Washington near Coulon Beach, and the sound of the jet engines flying low woke me up in the dream. I looked up and saw a jet flying and towing something behind it. I was excited to be able to witness this delivery, and look at the word there, delivery, and woke up my former mother-in-law who was camping with me to tell her so she could also watch them land at the plant. Suddenly, the items being towed just fell from the sky into the lake, but since it was connected to the jet with the tow line, it pulled the jet down with it. I watched the jumbo jet splash down spectacularly into Lake Washington. I was so sad and heartbroken that the second attempt was such a tragic failure. My husband came to pick me up, and while we were driving north on I-405, he was driving, I asked him if he'd heard about what happened. He said he hadn't, and as I was getting ready to tell him, he started to become very emotional and cry. He said it was all so sad, even though I hadn't told him, and he just didn't want to think about it. Okay. Jackie also says, loving the show. Well, you'd love it more, Jackie, if you call in. So anyway, I'm only ripping you. We've spoken to Jackie before. I've even had her in the station on the show. Anyway, what have we got in this dream? The delivery, I said, watch that. So this is all about a plane landing in a dream is about your birth. And this one is about her birth. And she's a twin, which is why we have two things in the dream, two crashes. So both twins are affected. She also says that the plane is towing something. So the towing, the line connecting the two is the umbilical cord. It's pretty obvious in this dream when I say it. But we've also had many other dreams from Jackie where this is the big thing for her to work on. And this time I'm going to be a little less friendly about saying what you need to do. So what have we got? I wrote to her and I said, I don't have what I asked her, but I asked her about her birth. Tell me a little bit more about your birth and what you know. And she says, birth was traumatic. We were nearly 4 weeks early, so even though mom was in labour, they were trying to stop it. When they realised they couldn't, they realised we were breech. My mom's blood pressure tanked, and by the time they got her into surgery, she was in critical condition, and so were we. They cut her open hastily and put her back together hastily because they did not expect her to live. It was so bad that she had to have a full hysterectomy just 4 years later. So now look back at the dream and we see that the jumbo jet, or the jet that was towing the other item that was being brought into land, got pulled down with the problem. So we see that it wasn't just trauma for the child, you as a child, it was definitely trauma for mom. Now, what about landing in Lake Washington? Well, lakes are about your spiritual side. So, but they mean that you don't have an outlet. So this dream is saying, look, you need to create an outlet in your life for your spiritual aspects. And Jackie works in a conventional job, but she's not meant to. She's meant to be doing something different. And recently she sent me a dream, and I told her that her dream said to her that she should only be working 4 days a week, even though I told her with the advice that she wasn't going to listen to what I said. There was a bit of a health warning in the dream, but that dream was also about her birth. 2 weeks later, Jackie ended up in hospital. And as a result of what she got, which was a collapsed lung, her boss told her she was only to work 4 days a week for the rest of summer. So it happened, but she had a choice: make it happen the easy way or get dragged into it kicking and screaming. And that's Jackie. We have to drag her and kicking and screaming. What other notes have I got on this? Yeah, so she's basically, with the jet falling into the lake, we also know that mom fell down on the job. Now, a little bit more of what she says. She says, 6 weeks after our birth, there was a horrible family tragedy when my mom's favourite sister died. Favourite sister? That's terrible. And then her other sister's family were in a fatal crash on the way to the funeral, and 3 of the 4 kids died. So that's absolutely appalling. My mom went into a terrible depression. So this is why mom failed on the job. And nobody listening to this would blame mom. But as a child, you don't care. As an infant, a newborn, you do not know what the circumstances are. You just know that you're not getting the love and attention from mom that you need. And that is what allowed you to bring your amazing spiritual abilities into the earth plane. So Jackie is a spiritual leader and a trance channel. You don't come across too many trance channels. So she goes into trance and talks about things that she doesn't need to understand when she's not in trance. And afterwards, she always gets a kick out of what she talked about. Now, one of the things that people don't realize is, what you need to realize is, you knew you were in trouble when you were in the womb. You knew the chances of survival were slim. This was trauma. If someone held a gun to your head and threatened to kill you, you'd be in therapy for years and you'd still have flashbacks. Your life would be altered forever. Well, your life was, because you did have trauma. this happened to you, but worse, way worse, everyone you love was threatened, your mom and your twin sister. So here's the other thing. Now, I've said many times from your dreams you need to look at your birth, but do you really think about this, and have you ever really worked on it? You may have done some work, but you haven't done enough, and that's why we have your husband in the dream. Driving north is about activating, it's about being intellectual. So you came in from this trauma, but became an intellectual person, rationalizing everything, closing off your heart. It's a very common thing. A lot of us do. At least half of the people on the planet do this. But you said that it was too emotional for him and he didn't want to think about it. But you're everything in the dream. So this is not about your husband. It's about you and saying you did not want to think about it. So, yeah, spectacular splashdown. So very spectacular traumatic start to life so that you would have this gift, these gifts that you have that you're not using. Now, if you came on air, you would have been telling us, like you were telling me earlier today, that you have a big idea for something you want to do this year in the spiritual field. But I didn't ask you what it is, so I don't know what it is. Let's have a look at another dream from Jackie. This one is called Driving into the River. She says, I don't remember much of the setup, but what I do remember is driving my car with the chief science officer and founder of my company in the passenger seat. We are driving in Brisbane, Australia, and we are trying to get to one of our research sites. For some reason, I turn into the river with my car that runs through the heart of the central business district. Funny thing is, just like the cartoons where the character runs off a cliff and doesn't fall until they realize what they've done, everything is going fine. We're actually going down the river as if we are in a boat. But once I realize that I am not in a boat, we begin to sink. I am horrified because I've actually driven my own car into the river trying to get to our destination. With the realization comes panic, and so I try desperately to return to the shore. All the while, I'm feeling like a total idiot in front of an executive leader of my company. I wake up before the car is completely overtaken by water. Okay, so the good things in this dream, the executive leader says that you're a leader. We also know that because Brisbane is in Queensland, and Queen is also about leadership, works through female energy and the heart, which is why we have the heart showing up in your last dream and in this dream. I didn't really point it out in the last dream, but there are several symbols for it. The jet engine is one, the engine being the heart of the plane, and then flying south to Renton is also about activating your female side. But here we have that you're a spiritual leader. We know that's what you're meant to be doing, but you're not. You're working in this company. The CSO, the Chief Science Officer, never travels with you. So this is about influences from that company that you have. You turn into the river. The river in Brisbane is full of sharks, bull sharks. So sharks in dreams, especially when they're about career, because this one is, are basically saying that the stresses and the things out to get you in your career are really not good for you at all. And so it's saying here that you are driving into the river, putting stress on your heart, but you don't know that you're doing that. That's the whole thing. You don't know you're doing it. You didn't know you were doing it last time, even though your dreams told you. You will sink, like this dream says, and then you're going to have to get out of it. It's not a you're going to kill yourself type of dream, but it is warning. It's saying, look, this has already happened once. Do you want that to happen again? Because it will. The other thing is, we know from this dream that you fear public perception because you say you felt like a total idiot in front of the executive leader of your company. So that's your obstacle. When we go back to the start of the show, that's your obstacle. If what you're doing does not include having to work on that issue, it's almost useless for you. So the very thing that you want to do, which is like, I'll do things if they don't cause me that stress, that's no good for you. You have to do those things because working on that issue is your growth. So I'm looking at the clock. How much longer have we got? We've 3 minutes. Okay, here we go. Here's a dream from Euro. Two quick dreams. He says, in the first dream, I'm trying to go around two bulls that are big and look like strange and dangerous animals, but I know they were two bulls and also designed for designated for slaughter, like they do in Bosnia-Herzegovina. They slaughter bulls for meat there. I'm trying to walk around them, all worried and frightened for them and for myself. So Euro has dreams, lots of issues with his elimination system. And he's been for scans, all sorts of things, and they've never figured anything out. Well, this dream says it's beef. You need to cut out beef because the bulls are a blockage on you. You're wondering how you can get past them, and they're a threat. It's a danger to you. So cut it out. Now, I asked him, do you eat meat? And he says, very rarely do I eat beef, maybe some every week or two. Well, that needs to change to never. And it's just the beef. You can probably eat other meat, so cut the beef out because that's what's causing you the problems, the red meat. His second dream, I'm trying to drive my Mazda RX-8 sports car. It is uncomfortable and impossible to drive it unless I lay down almost on my back to drive. And when I do drive it, lying on my back, I cannot see anything through the windshield in front of me, and I do not feel safe. Well, okay, you retired recently, partly because of the problems you have with your health, and you started driving for Lyft and Uber, and the stream is saying, look, you need to stop driving for a living. I know you don't ever drive your Mazda for your sports car for a living, but you do drive your other car. So the sports car is about healing you, so you need to stop. Even if driving didn't hurt your back, which it does, it's not for you. You will see no future in it, just like you can't see through the windshield in the dream. There's no directions. And that's never good. If you ever wonder why your higher self might pull the plug early on your life, and you should, this is why. You didn't come here to be a driver. This is really important. We're all on life support here. We come here tasked with a mission to grow in awareness with very specific directions mapped out in advance. But we have free will, and we can still grow. When we can still grow, even though we have deviated from that plan, we're given a pass. Sometimes illness stops us, like you, getting your sore back stops you driving, stops us from deviating too much, and sometimes the plug is pulled. And you know what I mean by the plug is pulled there. So watch out for that. You don't want to do it. So I'm looking for my last little piece, because I know we don't have any time to do any more dreams. I should really have things worked out a little bit better here. So anyway, what you need to do if you want to send your dreams to the show is go to dream-analysis.com /KKNW and submit your dream there. It'll get you on my list. I will tell you all about the various different things I'm doing. And thank you very much. See you next week.